Hello, in this tutorial, we are focusing on the match function. In the previous tutorial on the match function, I showed you how to use a match function for an exact match, which is a case where we have a list of values and we are trying to find out a particular value and we want to find the exact value if it is available in the list. In this tutorial, we will be working on a slightly different version of the example. So let's say we have table here which contains cash flow, and that is in the column B. So the range from B5 to B11 has a series of cash flows in it starting from 100 and ending in 700, and this is arranged in an ascending order, which means the first value is the smallest one and the following values are greater than the previous values in the series. So let us say we want to find a value which is less than or equal to 400. So we'll be using a match function, and the way to do it, you go in the cell E5 and type in equal to, and then type in the first few letters of the match. So M-A-T-C, match, and it pops up with the explanation of the function, and it says it will return the relative position of an item in an array. So which we already know from the previous tutorial. So we just select this function match, and now as we know it requires 3 parameters, of which the first one is the lookup value, and the lookup value here is the value that we are trying to search, which is the value in cell D5. So we refer to D5, then we enter comma and then press enter, and now it is highlighting for the second parameter, which is the lookup array. Now lookup array, as I explained before also in the previous tutorial, is the array of the data where match function will look for the lookup value. In this case, the lookup array is range B5 to B11. So we select the range B5 to B11 because that is where our data is present. And now the most important part is the match type. Now this is a less than or equal to match, which means we are trying to find out the largest value in the list which is less than 400, which in another way it is trying to find out any value which is less than 400, but it cannot be any value. It has to be less than 400, but there can be many values which are less than 400 in the list. So it will find the value which is largest among all those values which are either less than or equal to 400. So we select 1 as our option for the match type, and we close the bracket and press enter. So we get the answer as 4. What it means is that in this range of B5 to B11, the match function has found 400, a value of either 400 or less than 400 in row number 4. So let's check that. In this range, the first number is 100, the second is 200, the third is 300, and the fourth one is 400, and we were looking for a value which should be less than or equal to 400 because that was our input, and that value corresponds to row 4 here. So it has actually found an exact match, and the answer is 4. Let us say instead of 400, what will we get if I had typed 350? So now we are saying to the match function to find a value of either equal to 350 or any value less than 350. So value less than or equal to 350, and the match function returns an answer of 3, which means in this range it has found a value of either 350 or just less than 350 in row number 3. So let's verify it again. We go to first row in the table, which is 100. So 100 is less than 350, but there are other values as well in the list which are less than 350, and it has to find the largest of all those less than values. So the first one is 100, which is less than 350. The next one is 200, which is also less than 350 but larger than 100, and the next one is less than 350 which is 300, and it is larger than 200. And the fourth one is 400. Now 400 is not less than 350, so it will stop at row 3rd, because that is the value 300, which is less than or equal to 350, and it is still the largest among all those values which are less than 300. So there are 3 values which are less than 350 here: 100, 200 and 300, and of which 300 is the largest one. So the answer is 300, and the corresponding row position, or the relative row position, is 3, and that is why we get an answer of 3. So this was an example of a less than or equal to match. The only thing to keep in mind is that when you are using a less than or equal to match function, then your values must be in the ascending order. So let me give you an example of a greater than match. Let us say we have a cash flow here in the range B5 to B11, which is a series of numbers arranged in a descending order, and this is arranged in a descending order for a particular reason, which I'll explain you soon. So this is our table where we want to find a value of 250, but we want the value such that the value has to be greater than or equal to 250 in this range, or in this array. So we use the function match, equal to match, then the lookup value is 250, or the value in cell D5, so we refer to D5, then comma, and next it's highlighting at lookup array, so we need to specify the lookup array. The lookup array is in B5 to B11, so it will try to find a value equal to D5 in the range B5 to B11, and now we need to specify the match type. Now the match type is greater than type, which means it will find a value, smallest value, that is greater than or equal to the lookup value. So in this example, it will try to find out the smallest value that is greater than or equal to 250. Now there can be several values which are greater than 250 in our array, and it will try to find, of all those values which are greater than 250, it will find the smallest one, and then it will tell us the position of that number. So we select -1 or greater than option, and then we close the bracket and press enter. Now the answer for this match is 5, which means that match function is telling us that a value of 250 or greater than 250 has been found in row number 5 in this table of B5 to B11. And in row number 5 we see we have a value of 300. Now 300 is greater than 250, but so is 400 and 500 and 600 and 700. But of all these numbers which are greater than 300, which are from row 1 to row 5, starting from 700, 600, 500, 400 and 300, all of them are greater than 250. It has given us the answer 5 because of all these numbers, 700 to 300. 300 is the smallest among all these numbers. So 300 is the smallest among all these numbers, and at the same time it is greater than 250. So 300 is in the row 5 relative position from top row of this range. So the answer is 5. Now let's say if I enter a value of 0. So when I enter a value 0, it will try to find out any value which is greater than or equal to 0. Now in this range, all the values are greater than or equal to 0. So among them, it will try to find the smallest of them, and the smallest of them is in the last row, row 7, which is 100. So when I input 0, I expect an answer of 7 as output. So let me press enter, and that is what we get as the answer, 7. Let me show you another example. What if I input a value, say 900? What I'm saying to match function is to find me a value which is greater than or equal to 900 in this table B5 to B11. Now we see that there is no values in this table which is greater than or equal to 900, and therefore it should come up with an error message, and that is what we get. So when we say find the value of 900 in this range B5 to B7 such that the value has to be greater than 900 or equal to 900, and there is no such values, and that's why it has come up with an error result or not available result. So this was an example of a greater than match. Now when to use a less than equal to match or a greater than equal to match or an exact match will depend upon the scenario that you are handling. Different situation will demand different kind of match function, like equal, exact match, or a greater than or a less than match. It is all dependent on what you are dealing with.